Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Start That Business. I am so excited today because I have a very special guest that I'm bringing to you who is going to blow your mind. Are you ready to streamline your focus and get clarity to start your online service based business? Are you tired of struggling with lack of clarity, self doubt, and the fear of being a public failure? Do you wish you had a clear plan you could follow to make your calling a reality? Hey, friend, you don't have to stay stuck any longer. With a renewed mindset and a clear plan, you can start a business that fulfills your calling and makes a profit. I'm your host, Chichi Ukomado, a Christian business coach, Jesus follower, and a 7-figure service-based entrepreneur. In this podcast, I'll teach you how to streamline your focus, get clarity on your business idea, create your business launch plan, set up your business essentials, and launch your sustainable and profitable business from scratch. You will get tons of encouragement, godly wisdom, and accountability to grow in your faith and new business journey. It's time to partner with God and take your first step to start that business. You know the one I'm talking about? Yes, that one you've been putting off for a long time. If you're listening to me right now and you have never left a review for this podcast, I want to ask a favor of you. Please pause me right now and go over to Apple Podcast and leave me a written review for this podcast. If you don't have an iPhone, you can leave a review on whatever podcast app you're using to listen right now. Please pause me right now and go leave me a review. Now, the reason I ask for reviews is because that is the only way I can get feedback from you to know that you are learning, you are being blessed and encouraged by this show. Your feedback means a lot to me. When I read it, it helps me know that I'm not just talking to myself on a mic. I have people that are listening, learning, being encouraged, and getting all the things they need to start their business. So please consider leaving me a review. Pause me right now and go leave me a review. Thank you so much. Now, the guest I have on today's episode is Maya Elious. She's an award-winning business coach and brand strategist who helps faith-based experts become the go-to authority in their industry so they can confidently and profitably launch their signature offer. She has helped hundreds of entrepreneurs get clear on their message, confidently increase their prices, and have successful 5-figure launches. As a first generation American who dropped out of college to break free from the traditional mode, she believes in the power of pursuing your purpose despite the naysayers. She also enjoys encouraging women to use their voices and share their message in the form of online content so they can reach more people. She does this through her 12-week program, Build to Impact Accelerator, and also her signature live event, Impact Weekend. When she's not helping her clients build their online empire, she can be found traveling, scrolling through IG, or watching drama series on Hulu. Oh my goodness. Can you join me in welcoming Maya Elious to the Start That Business podcast? Maya, you are so welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. I'm so excited to have you. Now, I have been following Maya for a couple of years now, just binge reading her newsletters and following her on IG. And I must say that I love your email messages. It feels like I'm chatting with a business buddy or a business friend, and the content is always relevant, is always useful. There's always something actionable that I can take from it. No wonder your clients call you the queen of messaging. Yes, I agree 100% with them. So, Maya, my first question to you will be, since you are the queen of messaging, and a lot of my listeners are about to start their service based business based on their calling or expertise, So, what would you say is the first thing they should do, or the first area they should focus on when it comes to turning their expertise or their calling into a profitable service-based business?
Yeah, that's such a great question. I think the first thing is they need to be very clear on what their expertise is and what they want to be known for. I find that a lot of people are multi talented, multi creative, and they want to do all of the things. And they're like, I can't just choose one. And it's really hard for people to start off just choosing one. I think it's okay to, once you've established yourself in something and made something successful, to then start adding other revenues. But I think we hear the quote about the average millionaire having 7 streams of income. And we're like, well, I need 7 different ideas running. And it's like, no, they became a millionaire from one stream and leveraged their millions to create more streams. But you need to start first with one thing. So first, really deciding, what do I want to be known for? What am I the absolute best at? And then being very clear on, who do I serve? Right? Who can I get the best possible results? Who is actively looking for the solutions that I provide? Who is dealing with the pain points and the problems that I'm able to solve? And then getting very clear on what your products and services and your offerings are going to be. So the 3 questions that I have my clients answer when it comes to just getting very clear on their message is, who am I? Who do I serve, and how do I serve them? Right? Who am I in terms of my expertise in the industry? Who do I serve in terms of the people that will be paying me? And how do I serve them in terms of the offers that they will be paying me for?
Wow, Maya, you already jumped to my second question. That was going to be my second question, but I liked what you said about the notion when we see millionaires, we see they have 7 streams of income, 11 streams of income, and we're like, I need to get all that. So I like what you said about became a millionaire by doing one thing first. Then they added other things. So I was going to say, can you repeat that for the people at the back to hear that? Hey, when you're starting, you do not start with everything. And I will be the first to raise my hand and say that is also where I struggle, because as an expert in my own field, you have so many gifts, so many callings, and you're like, which one do I start with? But I like what you said by saying, pick one that you're already doing. For me, I am already in the entrepreneurial space. I've been in there for 12 years. So it made sense to start with this and then add other things as I go. So I really love that you mentioned that. And I'm going to ask you to repeat the 3 questions you just gave right now, because I know that when we answer questions, we get clarity. So, what are the 3 questions you just went over that one can use to get clear on their brand message?
Yeah. So the 3 questions you want to ask yourself to get clear on your brand message are, who am I? Who do I serve? And how do I serve them?
Who do I serve? I'm taking notes, y'all. I hope you're taking notes too. So, who am I? Who do I serve? And the last one was,
How do I serve them?
how do I serve them? So I'm taking notes because I'm going to use this to recap at the end. And I like these 3 questions because they help you focus on one area of calling, and then you can add other things. Who am I? Who am I? What have I been called to do? Who have I been called to serve? And how am I going to serve them? Now, the who part can be a part that I find very challenging, because I feel like I'm called to serve everybody. Or maybe someone listening is saying, oh, I'm called to serve everybody. Maya, how do I niche in? Or is it a good thing to niche in, or to be more general when I'm starting out? Because there's the fear of, okay, if I go niche early on, I might lose out on certain kinds of people. So based on your experience helping other entrepreneurs, what do you advise for the who do I serve question?
So excellent messaging speaks to one person. When I send out an email to 20,000 people on my email list, when you read it, you feel like I'm only talking to you. You don't feel like I'm talking to 20,000 different personalities. And if you're ever reading messaging and you feel confused about, are they talking to me? Does this fit me? I'm not really quite sure. That you know that the messaging is off. And so you cannot create succinct and profitable messaging trying to speak to multiple problems and multiple personalities. Once people get confused on the messaging, they don't buy. They just go look elsewhere for the business, the service provider, the company that is speaking directly to their problem. And so this requires you to say, okay, who am I able to best serve? Like, I know as a business coach that I could help anybody who has a business, but I specifically best work with women of faith who happen to be, the majority of them are Black. And if they're not Black, they identify as a woman of color. So another ethnicity. And so I'm understanding their language, I'm understanding their personality, how I communicate resonates with them, and that creates the trust. But if I'm trying to talk to a Black Christian woman the same way that I'm trying to talk to a white man, or I'm trying to talk to somebody who is Muslim, the language is going to be different. And so sometimes we want our messaging to be inclusive. And one of the most important things you could do with good messaging is be exclusive. You want to cast people out. You want there to be a language barrier where there are some people who don't get it because they shouldn't want to be one of your clients, because if you end up getting them, they're going to be a disaster client because they are not ideal. So if you want to build a business you love, you need to work with clients who are ideal. And most people are not ideal. You have to define what ideal looks like for you. So great messaging should attract the right people and it should repel the wrong people.
I love that. Great messaging should attract the right people and repel the wrong people. It reminds me of the words of Jesus when he said, "My sheep hear my voice and they follow me." So that means it's not everyone that is his sheep that hears his voice and follows. And he was constantly filtering out, like, okay, though I died to save the whole world, but not everyone will receive my message, and that's okay. So that's what you're saying, that it's helpful to niche in, because if you're talking to everyone, you're not talking to anyone. So I've taken note of that. I'm like, yeah, focus on your messaging. I think for us, people of faith, there's that side of you that is like, oh, but the love of Jesus should be for everyone, bring them all in. But when you said it's okay to cast people out, because if they don't fit into what you have to offer, you're going to frustrate them and you frustrate yourself, and nothing gets done at the end of the day. So I like what you said about casting people out. It sounds mean, but
I think it's important that we don't have this savior complex or a savior mindset. I don't need to save everybody. I need to work with who I'm assigned to work with, and anything else is actually disobedience. If God told me you need to work with these type of people, but my ego was telling me I can go work with all of these other people, am I listening to my assignment? Am I listening to what God told me to do? Or am I trying to follow my ego? So sometimes we just have to check ourselves. Why do I feel the need to save everybody? There's other business coaches that can help them. And I think sometimes we get nervous that we're in an industry that's saturated. I'm grateful my industry is saturated because I can't help everybody. I'm not here to help everybody. You not for me, you go work with a different business coach. And I feel good knowing that somebody who might not be a good fit for my program, they still have other options.
Maya, you're preaching this morning. I love what you just said. And that leads me to my next question, where you said your industry is saturated. Do you think that is a mindset block that a lot of people, and there are other excuses that people come up with like that? My industry is saturated, or everyone is doing what I'm doing. How does that hinder someone who has been called to start a business from actually turning their calling into a profitable business? What are other mindset blocks you have seen or you've come across with? Because I don't think the industry is saturated, but let me hear your thought on that.
I mean, I do think industries are saturated, but that's an indication that it's a profitable industry. It's saturated because it's working. Why would you not want to be in a saturated industry? Wow. And I think many people don't have enough confidence in themselves to put themselves in a room and stand out. And what they're really saying is, I don't feel confident enough to stand out. If the only place you're able to stand out is a room that doesn't have a lot of people, you should ask yourself why. I could be in a room with 100 other business coaches. I feel confident in standing out because I know the value that I bring to my industry. So when we ask ourselves the question, who am I? Part of answering that question should speak to the value that you bring to your industry. You have to know what makes you different, what makes you excellent in what you do. So I do believe that industries are saturated, but I also only believe that it's a barrier if you are not clear on what makes you stand out. And one of the easiest ways to really differentiate yourself is your brand story. And again, there's a lot of business coaches, even just in Atlanta alone, where I live, there's a lot of Black female business coaches. I'm not special in the sense that I'm different. I'm special in the sense that who I am to my core and how I do things and how I teach and my personality and the type of people that I work with, that is slightly different than how other Black female coaches might show up in the industry. So allow your authentic self to simply just be good enough.
I love that word, authentic self, and what you said by allowing your authentic self to show up in the room, because you spoke about knowing your value. What do I bring to the table? And if God has called me to do this, that means there's something unique He has put inside of me. There's a unique message He has given me. There's a unique audience that He has called me to serve. And I just need to step into it. There will always be people around. There will always be people doing stuff. Like I tell people, there's Chick-fil-A, there's McDonald's, there's Burger King, but I love Chick-fil-A, but that's on the side.
Right,
So,
exactly.
speaking of authenticity, how do you, when you're building a personal brand, when you're trying to turn your calling or your expertise into this profitable service-based business, how do you balance authenticity and your market demand? I know you love Jesus and you love twerking, but how do you bring it all together? Because that's authentic and unique to you. Another business coach might not have that. I don't know how to twerk. I'm like, Maya needs to start a coaching program for that or something. But how do you balance being authentic and embracing your value and embracing who you are and not trying to change that to fit into a different mode? How do you do that?
I think paying close attention to what people are drawn to. I think showing up as yourself and then collecting the data in terms of what people are drawn to. When I was introducing faith into my business, it wasn't a strategic move. When I started twerking, it wasn't a strategic move. Nothing in my mind said, if I twerk, I will get more clients, or nothing in my mind said, if I talk about God, I will get more clients. I talked about God. I talked about my family. I showed myself working out. Everything that you see me do, it's because I was doing it anyway. And this is like where content comes into play, and just even the content that you might post on your Instagram stories. I'm only simply documenting what I would be doing, even if Instagram did not exist. And so to be authentic means, what would I be doing anyway, versus trying to be strategic, like, maybe I should start drinking coffee more because maybe they like people who drink coffee. Maybe I should start wearing these type of clothes more because they'll like people that wear these type of clothes. Being authentic is about doing what you already naturally do, what you already enjoy doing, versus trying to be a people pleaser. I didn't introduce faith into my business to be a people pleaser. And quite honestly, being in an industry where you are working with women of faith, you're holding yourself to a standard that you likely don't even want to be in. Like, if anything, I'm like, I don't even want to push my faith because people will try to manipulate how they think I should show up. So it makes it more challenging. It's like, you just want to show up authentically and then see who the people you enjoy working with most, right? Not what the naysayers and the people who are criticizing you say. Don't change yourself based on the criticism. Lean more into the people who are actually paying you. I care about what my clients say because they are the ones that are paying me and paying for my services. What the people who are criticizing me are saying, who have never put a dollar into Built to Impact LLC, it doesn't matter what you think, because I'm going to show up as myself anyway, and I'm going to be able to make money that way anyway. So be your authentic self and see what people gravitate towards. My ideal client loves that I love Jesus. They love that I'm not legalistic. They love that I like to have fun and dance. My choice of dance just happens to be twerk, because I'm just not an actual good dancer in terms of dancing on beat. So that's what I do. And they like those aspects of me. So I lean more into that part of who I am.
I love that. And it keeps taking me back to the quote where Jesus says, "My sheep hear my voice." So they love my authentic self and they're drawn to my authentic self.
Yeah.
Any other person will be repelled by my authentic self and they will move away from my brand, they'll move away from what I do. So just come in with all that you are. So if you love twerking, that's fine, do it. If you're a quiet person, that's fine. But just come with all that you are. And like Maya said, don't try to people please, because when you do, you put yourself in a position where you're not able to serve. Because I believe that being authentic is serving at your highest level. Like when you talk about the glory of a thing, that is being your authentic self to the 100 degree. You're showing up and you're all authentic. So I tend to be more on the reserved, quiet side, like, but I still show up and I do that. And people are drawn to that because I'm not trying to be someone else on IG or so. What you see is pretty much what you get. So as I begin to build, I'm starting this service-based business building, how can I effectively leverage networking to accelerate my growth? Does that play a part into turning my expertise? How do I leverage networking? How do I leverage other people's help? Because some people think, okay, because I've been called to start this business, I should figure it out on my own. And especially people of faith, they're like, okay, I have the Holy Spirit. He can tell me everything, but he's called the Spirit of truth for a reason. He leads you into all truth, into the help you need. So how will you talk to someone who is saying, oh, I can figure it out? What will you say to them?
I think that, of course, the Holy Spirit, God, Jesus Christ is the source, but he also gives us resources. And we have to know how to be resourceful beings, or else you're not going to produce anything. So trying to do it on your own, it's just a lie. It's not a productive thought to have at all, that you should be doing anything alone. We are truly designed to operate in community. And so it really is important to be able to build a network, leverage your network, and again, just being really clear on what you bring to your industry. Like, how can I add value? I think if you simply just ask the question, how can I add value? You're going to be in a good place. You're going to better serve your clients and you're going to be seen as somebody that other people want to be around. When I think about my network and I think about leveraging it for business, one thing that I teach my clients is to leverage OPP, which is other people's platforms. And so when I was building my brand and growing rapidly, I was able to grow my brand to seven figures with using maybe 2% of ad dollars for my expenses, less than 2%. And I was able to do that because I was easily getting on other people's platforms, like other people's stages, doing collaborations, maybe joint webinars, or getting on other people's podcasts. And I was able to do that because people saw the value that I would bring to their audience. Now, where we go wrong with this is when we want to use people and not offer any value. If I'm just wanting to go on your podcast because I need your followers, but I'm not making it seem beneficial for you, then I'm going to be one of those people in the industry that they're like, all Maya wants is just to get in front of your audience. But if I could say like, hey, I want to add value to your audience, I noticed that you primarily speak to Christian women and you are helping them make more money in their business. And I love speaking to women of faith and teaching them how to make money in their business through solidifying their messaging and building their personal brand. Here are 3 key points I would love to teach to your audience. I would love to come on your podcast if you're looking for somebody to speak on those things, or if you think it would be a value add. That is how you leverage relationship, by one, recognizing even what the person is doing that you want to build a relationship with. Building a relationship is truly about being genuine, seeing their work, acknowledging their work, and giving them props for what they do, and then wanting to add value to what they are already doing. So if you want to leverage relationships or leverage your network, that's the best way to go about it.
Thank you so much, Maya. You're adding so much value just being in the room, just being here, just speaking to my audience. And I really appreciate what you're doing out there, like helping other women. I have a friend of mine who actually went through your accelerator program, and she's like, I loved it. I'm like, okay, I'm going to join the waiting list to get on. So the value you're providing is profound. Like, you're pulling women who have expertise, and you're like, nope, you cannot be charging that for what you know. You need to increase your price. You're helping them see their value, especially women of faith, because most times we wear this cloak of, okay, I shouldn't charge much, or I shouldn't charge because I'm a Christian. And that's the value I see you bring. You come and you take those glasses off, and you're like, nope, take it off and put a new lens on, because it's all about the value you bring. It's all about building relationships that are valuable. So I like what you said about acknowledging what the person you're trying to build a relationship is doing, and now telling them how I can bring more value to what you're even doing. So I like that. If you think about Jesus while he was on earth, the first thing he did before he started his ministry was to put a team together to build relationships that he was able to leverage later in his ministry. And it helped him a lot. He was friends with different categories of people because he spent time building that relationship and building that network right from the get-go. So don't isolate yourself. You cannot do it alone. The Holy Spirit will lead you to people that can help you, but don't be a taker. Be a person of value. Be someone that adds value to the relationships you're bringing in.
I think when it comes to Christians and asking for money, I think what is very important for us to understand is that being rich or striving for wealth is not synonymous with greed. And we're so fearful to be greedy. I look at greed as generating money or whatever resources it is, and then hoarding it. And I look at building wealth biblically as generating money when we're talking about money or whatever resources, and knowing how to be a good steward of it. And what happens is you see a lot of people who are they feel so much shame into the desire to want to be rich because they're afraid to be greedy. But as a result, they're really operating in poverty. And when I see people who are operating in poverty, typically what tends to happen is now you start leading with desperation over discernment, because you're desperate to make sure that your bills get paid. You're desperate to make sure that you have food on the table. You're desperate to get to that next dollar. I find that money becomes your God when you don't have a lot of it, because now your decisions are based on what you don't have. Now your decisions are based on your lack. Like, I'm not able to grow my business because I don't have the money. I'm not able to actually relax and take a vacation because I don't have the money. I'm not able to do blah, blah, blah because I don't have the money. Now your decisions are based on your lack instead of what would you authentically and naturally do if you actually had the money. And so I think it's really important to understand that desiring money is not a bad thing. How you steward it and what you do with it is really what highlights your character, not even dictates, but highlights it, because money is going to make you more of who you already are. If there's greedy people who are broke.
Yes.
So if you're already a greedy person, when you get money, you're just going to hold on to it more.
Yeah.
But if you are a person who is kind and a person who is generous, typically what will happen is when you generate more money, you're going to be more generous. That's what I do. Like, when I make money, I think about, okay, what can I do for my family? What can I do for my parents? Of course, I invest it. I want my money to accumulate more money, but I'm also thinking, how can I make sure my kids' kids are taken care of? And so just differentiating greed versus stewardship, I think, is going to make a big difference into how we look at our money and asking for it.
This is so good. I love what you said about greed and stewardship, because that's what it's all about when it comes to money in the kingdom of God. It's about stewardship, not just with money, with your calling, with your talents. How are you stewarding it? Because if you remember the parable of the talents, the one man who hid his talent, it says he was wicked because he hid what he could have used to be a blessing to other people. So I like the difference you made there, so that can free up our minds to say, hey, there's nothing wrong with desiring money. money answered all things. So it's meant to solve problem. It's a tool we use here on earth to do the different things God is calling us to do. So, but just being able to know how to steward it, so I'm not hoarding it, so that I have a steward mindset when it comes to money, knowing that it doesn't belong to me anyway. God gave it to me to steward. So it needs to keep flowing like the currency it is, so that it's flowing from me to my family, it's flowing from me to my team members, to everyone around me. And I'm not just holding on to it. Thank you so much. That is so good.
I agree. Money should always be flowing. And my last point to that is I do think we also have a fear of taking money from people, right? We make the assumption that just because we want to charge a lot of money, like, oh my gosh, I'm taking, and we are inserting ourselves in people's business where we have no business. It is not my responsibility to know what's in my client's pocket. It's not my responsibility to know what is in their bank account. And when people pay me, I am not taking their money. I am exchanging value. When my clients pay me $1,000, 5,000, whatever the number is, I'm giving it right back to them in terms of my level of experience, in terms of my level of expertise, in terms of my time, in terms of my level of support. And so we have this fear of being greedy because we think we're taking. I'm not taking money from anybody, and nobody is doing me a favor by paying me, because I'm instantly giving you back value in return, because I know the value that I offer to this relationship. I know the value that I have in the marketplace, and I feel confident putting a dollar amount on it.
Maya, you are speaking my language right now. I'm about to scream in this place, exchanging value, because that is what it's all about. And I love that word you use, exchanging value, because that's going to be a huge mindset shift for a lot of people listening. Because like you said, you're not taking, you're exchanging value. And there's a thought that I have been working on lately, which says value is spiritual, because God doesn't operate with money in heaven. He gives you value, which is spiritual. And you take that spiritual value and you translate it into a coaching program, into an online course, into a VIP day. And someone pays you money to exchange that value, so that there's an exchange. You have what they need and they give you their money. So when you said exchanging value, I'm like,
Yes,
I
yes.
love that word. I love that word. Guys, I'm so excited. As you can see, I'm trying to calm myself down. You are just speaking my language. You are just using the right words. It's hitting, it's hitting, it's hitting. So, two more questions and we'll wrap up. What are some of the platforms available for content creation and marketing that you recommend to entrepreneurs as they're starting their business? I know there's a lot of buzz out there, social media, this and that, but for someone that is just starting, where is a good place to pour themselves in when it comes to content? So, like choosing the right channels to invest their time and resources, especially when they're starting, because when you're starting out, you might not have a lot to be able to stretch out. You're like, okay, where can I focus in terms of the platform I should use in growing this service-based business I'm starting? So what would you recommend? So should I be focusing on creating my email list, or should I jump right on social media regardless of the platform? So what will be your recommendation?
I definitely think everybody should be on social media, and the platform is going to be based on where your ideal client spends the most time. So many people are on Instagram. There's a lot of people on Facebook. There's a lot of people on LinkedIn, but you need to test to see where your audience is spending time. A question that you should always be asking yourself is, where is my ideal client searching for the answer? Where is my ideal client searching for the answer? And then you should be providing that answer on that platform. So wherever they're spending the most time, wherever they're searching for things, that is where you want to be. So, and that plays a little bit into search engine optimization if they're Googling things. And if you do want to leverage SEO, I would recommend having a website with blog posts. We see that people aren't blogging that much anymore, but blogging is a long game where if somebody searches for something on Google, it will be tying back to your website. And then we want your website to be positioned in a way where they can contact you, they can download something from you. A lot of people leverage YouTube to search, which makes sense since it's a Google company now. But people are constantly searching on YouTube. So how can you create content, video content for YouTube? So just thinking about, where does my audience spend time? And when you are creating content, making sure that you are titling your content based on the questions that are asked, because content is simply answering questions. Content is simply a conversation between you and the people that you want paying you. So if my ideal client is Googling, how do I grow my Instagram? I'm going to have a piece of content that says how to grow your Instagram in 2024, or people are saying, how can I charge high ticket? I'm going to have a piece of content that says 5 reasons that you should be charging high ticket in 2024. Like, the title of your content and the messaging around your content should be directly relevant to what's already in their brain, to what they're saying out their mouth, to what they're typing. So when it comes to social media versus email list, it should not be either or. You should be leveraging your social media to attract your ideal client and then getting them on your email list so you can build and nurture that relationship and then eventually sell your products and services to them.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Maya. So just as I wrap up or we close out this episode, what is one next action step you can give someone listening right now to say, okay, this is what you can do today to turn your calling into your expertise? What will be that one action they can take today to get things rolling, especially for those who have been procrastinating since January of this year, saying, oh, I will. What can they do? What can they take away from this experience? Just one action they can take.
I would say the next immediate action step for them would be to download my free Build Your Online Brand checklist, because this is a 25-part checklist of what I would do if I were building my brand from scratch in 2024, getting clear on your messaging, figuring out what type of emails to send, setting up your social media, everything that I would do if I was starting from scratch. So if you are building your brand and you're thinking, I have no idea what my next step should be, just download the checklist for free. The link for it is builttoimpact.com/BYOB, and that will give you a great jumpstart to building your online brand.
Thank you so much, Maya. I will have that link to this podcast episode, so don't worry about it. If you didn't catch what she said, I will have the link so you can download that checklist and you can start working on it. So Maya, how can my listeners connect with you if they want to learn more about messaging, packaging their services, putting themselves out there, and get more of this goodness?
Yeah, so you guys can follow me on Instagram at Maya Elious, MayaElious. And again, just download the checklist. Once you download the checklist for free, you'll be redirected to a page with an opportunity to purchase my bootcamp. I think the price is under $50. And it's a bootcamp that is going to show you exactly how I help my clients get clear on their message. It's going to help you outline your content. It's going to teach you how to position yourself as an expert online so people take you seriously and so you can stand out. So I would say follow me on Instagram and just stay connected with my resources.
So you heard Maya. She said, follow me on Instagram. I also want to add, Maya just launched her podcast this year. I want to encourage everyone to also go check out her podcast. She is the host of the Work Hard, Leave Soft podcast, right? Work Hard, Leave Soft. So go check her out. We love sharing here. We don't hoard information. So go check her podcast out. Listen, leave a review, follow her on Instagram, download the checklist, and get going. It's already August, so don't sit on that idea anymore. It's time to get up, it's time to get going, and it's time to start that business. Thank you so much, Maya, for your time. Thank you for being on today's episode. I am so excited that you chose to honor us with your wisdom, your presence, and everything you have shared here today. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. I hope you learned something new and you were encouraged to take action. If so, will you stop right now and share this episode with someone so they can get the help you just got? I would also love it if you can leave a review for this podcast on Apple Podcast or the podcast app you're using to listen. This is the number one way I know you're getting value from the content on this podcast. Until next time, always remember you have all you need to start that business. So keep listening for more episodes. I'll meet you here next week.